I just wanted to point out, if you want a copy of the slides that I'm going to show, or most of them, I think, there's a pinned comment link here that is a link to the where you can download the slides. It's a PDF file. It reads pretty well on your phone, but just so you know, if you want to go back and look at what I'm going to show you, you can find it at the link here. So with that, thank you all for joining us. Obviously, a lot of weather going on. My name is Derek Snyder. I'm one of the lead forecasters here at the Weather Service in Paducah, and we have a lot to talk about. Unfortunately, a very busy start to the year in the weather department. So what I'm going to do is I'll go through kind of the overview, and I'm going to break it down region by region to kind of show you what we're expecting at this time, and then some additional information in terms of safety, preparedness, and then I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have. So if you can, save your questions to the end. I'll have your comments up here on the side, and I'll try to scroll through and answer as many as I can before I lose my voice, which is pretty typical when I do these for whatever reason. So let's get going. And I'll go ahead and shrink my picture here and move it off to the side so you can actually see what I'm going to present. So first of all, in terms of winter headlines, we have a very busy map here. We have ice storm warnings that have been issued. We have winter storm warnings that are in effect. And then we have a winter weather advisory that's in effect. So the winter weather advisory, I'll start there, is for areas near and along the Missouri and Tennessee border, and the Missouri and Arkansas border, apologies there, and the Tennessee, Kentucky border. And then as we go further north, the impacts get worse. We have an ice storm warning in effect for parts of southeast Missouri, including Cape Girardeau over to the Piedmont and Van Buren areas, and then pretty much the southern tip of Illinois, including basically the Little Egypt region from Route 13 south all the way to the Ohio River. And then the ice storm warning extends into northwest Kentucky, including Owensboro, Henderson, Madisonville, over all the way to Livingston County, and that also includes cities like Morganfield. And then north of all that, we have a large winter storm warning that covers the Route 13 corridor, the I-64 corridor across southern Illinois and southwest Indiana. So places like Pinckneyville, Illinois, Mount Vernon, Illinois, over to Hamilton County, White County, Carmi area, Mount Carmel, Illinois, Evansville, Petersburg, Indiana, over to Boonville, Indiana, and then Spencer County, Indiana as well. Most of these go into effect late tonight and will run through Monday morning. The one exception to that is the winter weather advisory, which I'll go into later. Overall, if you're in the ice storm warning or the winter storm warning, we're expecting major travel impacts beginning late tonight, with the worst of the storm being Sunday morning through Sunday night, and then things should wind down Monday morning. If you're in the ice storm warning, we're concerned about scattered to widespread power outages, and some of these power outages could be long duration of multiple days, as well as tree damage. Unfortunately, with this storm, there's going to be quite a bit of gusty winds along with the freezing rain, which is really heightening our concern for potential tree damage and power line damage, which could cause those power outages. Further south in the winter weather advisory, travel impacts are possible for a time, especially as we get into late tonight into Sunday morning. But things will get better as we go through the day on Sunday as we flip over to all rain there. So that includes places like Paducah, Mayfield, Murray, Hopkinsville, Fort Campbell, New Madrid, Poplar Bluff, Dexter, all those regions. And then the other thing we need to watch out for is after the storm winds down Monday, we have a very bitter period of very cold temperatures forecasted for much of the upcoming week. So from Monday through at least Thursday, we're expecting low temperatures in the single digits and teens, and then wind chill values near and possibly below zero along I-64 to single digits down along the Missouri, Arkansas border and the Kentucky-Tennessee border. So that's kind of what we're all expecting. So with the combination of potential travel impacts, power outages, and dangerous cold, we're very concerned about this being a high-impact winter weather event. So I'm going to go through step by step and go through each of these regions here and kind of outline what we're going to be looking at as we go through tonight, through late tonight, after midnight, through Monday morning. So first of all, I already saw a question about the time of onset. So the initial wave of precipitation looks to arrive late tonight, closer to 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. in southeast Missouri, down to the Boot Heel, northeast Arkansas. Once you get across the Mississippi River, it looks more like midnight to 3 a.m. tonight, from Mount Vernon to Carbondale, Marion, down to Paducah, Mayfield, Murray, over to Trigg County, the Lakes region. Closer to the pre-dawn hours for the Wabash Valley area, Mount Carmel, Evansville, Mount Vernon, Indiana, Henderson, Owensboro, Madisonville, Greenville, Hopkinsville, Fort Campbell, Elkton. And then over as you get to more towards southern Indiana and central Kentucky, but including places like maybe Petersburg, Indiana, Santa Claus, Indiana, and then areas as you get closer to Bowling Green, Kentucky, and maybe over to Louisville, it'll be around daybreak, 4 to 8 a.m. Over there. So kind of a gradual onset. Looking at the latest model guidance, I've been talking with Andy, one of our forecasters. He's concerned maybe this might start out as less of a period of maybe a period of freezing drizzle, which can be very dangerous as well. And the other thing to consider is that temperatures are going to be above freezing in parts of southeast Missouri and west Kentucky near the Kentucky and Tennessee border. So this might start off as just rain on the onset, maybe flipping to a little bit of freezing rain and sleet for a bit, and then maybe a little bit of snow at the end Monday morning. But we'll talk more about that here in a bit. So for the regional forecast, so I'm going to focus here on the winter storm warning first. So the areas I mentioned across southern, so in Illinois, this includes Perry County, Illinois, Franklin County, Jefferson County, Hamilton County, White County, Wayne County, Wabash, and Edwards counties. In Indiana, this includes all of our southwest Indiana counties that we cover. So that's Posey, Vanderburgh, Warwick, Spencer, Gibson, and Pike counties. This winter storm warning goes into effect tonight at 2 a.m. and it will be in effect through 6 a.m. Monday morning, so just a little bit over 24-hour period. For here, we're expecting a lot of heavy sleet and snow with freezing rain mixing in as well. By the time it's all said and done, we're looking at about 3 to 5 inches of sleet and snow accumulation. The snow will be heavy and wet, which will make it difficult to shovel. In addition to the snow and sleet, we're concerned about 0.2 up to half an inch of ice accumulation. You put all that together, we're very concerned about major travel impacts in this area. In addition to the travel impacts, we could see isolated to scattered power outages as well. So winds will be pretty gusty, east-northeast, sustained at 15 to 20 miles per hour with gusts up to 30 miles per hour. Once we get through today or through tonight and most of the day Sunday, once we get to Monday, the winds will be pretty gusty as well, but they'll kind of flip out of the northeast, north more than the northeast. And then, like I mentioned, we have an Arctic blast to follow. Low temperatures in the single digits and wind chill values near or even slightly below zero each day at times through at least Thursday. For the areas in the ice storm warning, we're getting very concerned. The latest forecast update really increased the amount of freezing rain across parts of this area. And I'm going to call out areas from Bollinger County, Missouri, Cape Girardeau County, Missouri, and Union County, Illinois. The model guidance is really honed in on a potential corridor of excessive icing up to maybe 1 inch of ice. Elsewhere, we're expecting closer to a 1/4 inch of ice up to half inch, locally up to 3/4 of an inch of ice. And then where we have mixing of snow as well and sleet, we could see 1 to 3 inches of snow and sleet. In this area, we're expecting scattered to widespread power outages possible, including the potential for long duration outages in this area. Like I said, we're still going to have gusty winds, east-northeast winds, 15 to 20 miles per hour with gusts up to 30 miles per hour. And in fact, the gustiest winds may actually be after as the storm's winding down, the ice is already accreted. So that'll just make things worse. We're really concerned about this. And then with the potential for power outages and the Arctic blast, lows in the teens and single digits and wind chill values near zero are possible for several days following this. And so when you put that combination together of the power outages and the gusty winds and the very bitter cold that's going to follow, we're very, very concerned. Just so everyone's on the same page for this, sorry, I should have led with this, but the counties included in the ice storm warning in Missouri are Carter County, Missouri, Wayne County, Missouri, Bollinger County, Missouri, Cape Girardeau County, Missouri, Scott County, Missouri, and Perry County, Missouri. In Illinois, that's Jackson County, Illinois, Union County, Alexander County, Pulaski County, Johnson, Williamson, Saline counties, Polk County, Illinois, Massac County, Illinois, Hardin County, Illinois, and Gallatin County, Illinois. And in Kentucky, it includes Livingston County, Crittenden County, Union County, Kentucky, Henderson County, Kentucky, Webster and Caldwell counties, Hopkins, McLean, and Davis counties in Kentucky, including Owensboro. So I'll have a map here in a little bit with kind of what we're expecting in terms of accumulation. And then I also have been talking a little bit to Andy, our forecaster, about what he's seeing with the latest model guidance and if we could see any shifts there. So far, not to get too, nothing really major from what we're going to show you here, but I'll talk a little bit more of that in a bit. Areas further to the south, we have this winter weather advisory that covers for places in Missouri and West Kentucky. That includes Ripley County, Missouri, Butler County, Missouri, including Poplar Bluff, Stoddard County, Dexter area, New Madrid County, and Mississippi County, Missouri. In Kentucky, this is Ballard, Carlisle, Hickman, Fulton, McCracken County, that includes Paducah, Graves County, Mayfield, Marshall County, Benton, Callaway County, the Murray area, Lyon and Trigg counties, Christian County, that includes Hopkinsville, Muhlenberg County, Greenville area, and then Todd County, Kentucky, in the Elkton area. So down here, temperatures are trending to be a little bit further warmer than further to the north. We're expecting mainly initial bursts of freezing rain and sleet tonight through late tonight after midnight, and then change into all rain as we go through the day on Sunday. So we could have travel impacts initially during the early morning hours Sunday, and then as we transition to rain, things will trend better as we get some melting. And then it looks like we might have a period here of several hours of just plain rain before we flip back over to some light snow at the end Monday morning. So this winter weather advisory only runs through 2 p.m. Sunday, but I wouldn't let your guard down because even though we're going to have kind of a long break for a good part of this area where it's just raining, we might have a little bit of snow, maybe up to an inch or so at the end. So don't be surprised if we issue another headline, another advisory for your area, for this area, for Monday morning. So when it's all said and done, for icing, a light glaze up to a 1/4 inch of icing, and then that'll be initial, and then we'll see some melting, and then the snow and sleet potential trace up to an inch of snow. That'll be Monday morning. So overall, the impacts here are a little bit lower than what we're expecting further north. Minor to moderate travel impacts possible. Can't rule out a few power outages, especially as we get into Sunday morning, especially with those east-northeast winds, 15 to 20 with gusts up to 30. And then, like I said, we have the Arctic blast coming as well here as well. So lows a little bit, not quite as cold as further north, but falling into the teens and single-digit wind chill values through Thursday. So that's the kind of step-by-step across the region. Here's our official snow and ice forecast. So I'll start with the ice on the left-hand side of your image. and then flip to the snow and sleet on the rest of it. So earlier I called out this area here from Bollinger County, Missouri, to central and northern Cape Girardeau County into Union County, Illinois. The model guidance has really honed in on this area for the potential for the greatest icing of 3/4 of an inch up to an inch. And this is where we're really concerned about potential for widespread, long duration power outages. And that's not to downplay anywhere else, but that area seems to be the bullseye area at this point. And then then areas around that, from like Piedmont to into southern Piedmont, Missouri, into southern Illinois, into northwest Kentucky, even as far north as into southwest Indiana as well, and I-64 corridor, we could see some significant icing as well, in addition to sleet and snow. But with ice storm warnings in effect, we're expecting an overall general 1/4 inch of icing up to 3/4 of an inch of icing. But in that area I mentioned, from Bollinger, Cape Girardeau County in Missouri into Union County, Illinois, we're seeing the potential for maybe 3/4 of an inch up to an inch of icing, which is would be very concerning. For terms of snow and sleet, this includes both snow and sleet. I will call out that an inch of sleet is way more impactful than an inch of snow. In terms of it's just a lot of liquid that has to be moved, and it's not fun to shovel either. So along I-64, where we have the winter storm warning in southern Illinois and southwest Indiana, we have a general swath of 3 to 6 inches forecasted up there, and then higher totals as you go further north into central Illinois and central Indiana, and then towards the St. Louis area. So if we do have a little bit more sleet than expected, that could cut down these totals quite a bit, but you're still going to have the travel impacts either way. Further south, in the ice storm warning from like Cape Girardeau, Marion, Henderson, Owensboro, generally 1 to 2, maybe 3 inches of snow and sleet. And then further south along the Tennessee border, and then the Arkansas borders, areas of southeast Missouri and western Kentucky, more like an inch of snow, maybe locally higher, up to about 2 inches in spots. But the heaviest sleet and snow totals look to be along and north of Interstate 64. The highest icing totals look to be through the southern part of Illinois, southeast Missouri, Cape Girardeau to Piedmont, and then northwest Kentucky, from Smithland up to Morganfield, Henderson, Owensboro areas, where significant icing is possible. If you want to see additional information, I have this website here at the bottom, weather.gov/Paducah/winter. We have these maps there and a whole lot more things for you to look at. The last thing I'll call out, if there's anyone from utility companies watching, the totals that we forecast are flat ice amounts. If you're talking about accumulation on trees and power lines, that's what it's called. It's not flat ice, it's radial. So if you want to figure out how much might accrete on trees and power lines, you divide that number by about 1/3, and you'll get what you expect to fall on a tree, or accumulate on a tree branch or a power line or something like that, just to help you give a better idea of what we're expecting to see there. So I told you when it's going to start, the impacts. Here's when we expect things to kind of get better. We're expecting the precipitation to wind down late Sunday night into early Monday morning. So if you're in southeast Missouri, we expect the precipitation to come to an end between 3 and 7 a.m. Monday morning, from Mount Vernon to Carbondale and Marion, down to Metropolis, Paducah, Bayfield, and Murray, closer to 5 to 9 a.m. And then for parts of, for the Evansville tri-state area, Evansville, Owensboro, Henderson, Mount Carmel, down to Madison, Greenville, Hopkinsville, Fort Campbell, closer to the mid to late morning, 8 a.m. To noon. So, and I will say, as things taper down, we're going to have a lot more cold air filtering in. So the last few hours, we'll see a flip over to some light snow. So we'll keep an eye out on that as well. We could have some additional impacts from light snow on top of whatever falls during the day on Sunday as well. So overall, this looks like a big wintry mess with a lot of impacts, unfortunately, from a good part of the area. The other thing I want to highlight is that we're expecting a lot of really cold air after this storm. Coldest air of the season is expected to arrive Monday and continue through much of the week. The values I have here are the wind chill values for several cities across the area, but the general story is about the same. Wind chill values in the single digits, possibly below zero for some areas for a time Wednesday into Thursday, and then single digits and teens elsewhere. And this looks pretty prolonged. And so we're obviously concerned about the potential for the power outages and then the prolonged cold. And so I'll have some safety information as well. I'll show after this. In addition to that, we just have your typical cold weather concerns, frozen pipes, that sort of thing. Good time to let your faucets drip. Make sure your spigots are put away, all that stuff. That sort of thing. Make sure your house is ready to go. Your property is good to go before this cold hits, so you don't have any water issues down the road. And then let's see. So here's a kind of a general winter storm planning timeline. So we're here at the day before, here in the middle. So keep up on the forecast. There still could be some additional changes here or there. I'll talk a little bit more of that here in a bit. If you have any travel plans late tonight, after midnight, especially through Sunday into Monday, if you can adjust them, that'll be really good things to do. You might save yourself a lot of headaches there. Make sure you have ways to get information. Make sure if you have outdoor pets, make sure they have plenty of water and a place to stay warm and dry if possible. Checking on your family and neighbors. Make sure if you do lose power and you're using things like a space heater, or not space heater if you lose power, but like a propane generator, candles, that sort of thing, you got to make sure everything's ventilated properly. You don't want to get carbon monoxide poisoning. You don't want to set your house on fire. If you have a generator, keep it at least 20 feet away from your home to make sure that you don't have issues with carbon monoxide poisoning and stuff like that. And then where you do get snow, this is going to be very heavy, wet snow, so don't overdo it shoveling so you don't hurt yourself. For those of you where we're concerned about ice storms, it might be a little too bit late to trim damage or damaged branches around your home, but it's good to have some extra food and prescriptions on standby in case you can't get out of your house for a few days. If you can avoid it, don't park your car under a tree. You don't want to get your car damaged. And this would be a good time to keep all your devices charged, your cell phones, your iPads, your computers, you name it. That way you have a source of a connection to the outside world if you do lose power. So once we get things done with the storm, especially with the power outages, if you're worried about space heaters and candles, making sure you can wear extra layers too to stay warm. Keep your doors closed. Make sure you shove towels under if you have any drafty areas. Put a towel or something like that there to keep the cold air from seeping in. Keep your generators away from your house to keep the carbon monoxide risk low. Make sure you read the instructions and do that. Pretty standard stuff. And then, if you have neighbors and family that are vulnerable, make sure that you check on them, make sure they're okay, and they have everything they need, and they're doing okay as well. I'll leave you with this. I talked with Andy. He's doing our forecast for today. He said the latest model guidance is trending pretty close to what we have forecast. There is still like this sort of area of uncertainty between where we might see a lot of rain with a lot of freezing rain, and then further north where we might have a lot of freezing rain versus a lot of snow and sleet. That's probably going to be, I think we're pretty close to being on target with that, but we're talking about a difference of 10 or 20 miles making a big difference, and it could be a deal where maybe the northern part of your county is in the dark, the southern part of the county is just wet. So it's sometimes it can be that close. If we make any additional changes to the winter weather headlines that I mentioned, we'll get that out by this afternoon. And like I said, we're really concerned about the transition from where the ice storm warning goes to the winter weather advisory to see maybe if we need to expand the ice storm warning south. After talking with Andy, he seems like things look pretty good and actually might be trending a degree or two or so degree warmer across the southern part of the area, so that might keep the ice concerns at bay, but really wouldn't ameliorate or anything for areas further to the north. It's more of where that transition area will set up. I've talked about the potential for ice storm impacts. We are very concerned about these potential ice storm issues, especially, like I mentioned, the Cape Girardeau area, Bollinger, central northern Cape counties into Union County, Illinois, and surrounding areas. And a lot of people compare ice storms, one to another. It's hard to do, but to compare one to one. Overall, this doesn't look to be as bad as the 2009 ice storm in terms of just the widespread amounts of heavy ice and the potential for long duration power outages. But it doesn't look to be quite as that bad. But that being said, this one could possibly be the worst one since then, if that makes sense to you all. It's definitely looking like a high impact event for some of the area for sure when it comes to icing. And we're really worried about that combination of prolonged power outages and that dangerous cold combination. So that could be a really, really tough situation if we do see that. So please take the safety information that we shared seriously and use that to help yourself and your family and your community stay safe. I have a link here as well on our webpage. If anyone here is watching, if you're a county emergency manager or an official that they run a warming shelter, we do have a webpage that has high or low temperature forecasts and the chances of reaching certain thresholds like sub-zero wind chills, for example, or something like that. If you need that to help make a decision on where to open a warming shelter or something like that, you can go to this webpage here and find that information to hopefully make your decision making a little bit easier. So with that, I'll pause for a second, and if anyone has any questions, I saw lots of questions about specific locations, and unfortunately I just don't have the time to go through every single little town, but hopefully you can find the information on these maps and everything and find out what we're expecting for your area in particular.